Ah, this is Michael Dove back at all of you again. And I'm so pleased to have my dear friend, Erin.
Hello.
Talk with us. Hello, Erin. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. And I'm actually very excited and happy to talk about like what we're going to get into, because it's going to be like really special. And I know it's like one of those things I say that everything we do is special, okay? But this is like really special. Okay, this is like really special because what just as by way of introduction here is like what it is, and we kind of like came up with this when I was like in Kathmandu in the Himalayas, and it just kind of came through. Okay. And, in a very kind of special, conversation that we were having. And it is what we are calling channeling the new circuitry. And this is especially important at this time. And as I was thinking about it just a little bit earlier, okay, it's like with what so many people are experiencing now is the fact of being confronted with like geopolitical situations, environmental situations, economic sense of uncertainty and threat. The social distresses that are going on, and we're seeing this rather special. This combination of all of these things at once. And what seems to be happening is that many people that I've talked to are kind of like experiencing a sense of a helplessness. And it's almost like this ceiling. They talk about the glass ceiling, but it's like this ceiling of consciousness, and it's like what this barrier to excellence, this barrier to transcendence and full actualization and wholeness and reaching one's fullest potential to sort of meet what's happening, seems to be a sense of helplessness that we're harboring, either consciously or unconsciously, mostly. And to my way of thinking, and I want to hear what you have to say about this too, is that as long as we are embroiled in old circuitry, we never truly transcend. We can't transcend with old circuitry. So what is required is a new circuitry. And I wanted to get your take on this, because we were kind of getting into it, about this reality, this truth here.
Yeah, I think there was a real specialness in how the message came through for us to hold this event, because we both had been getting downloads, so to speak, about the exact same transformation that's being asked to happen right now. And so as we started discussing that and realizing we were both getting very similar information, but in our own ways, it became very clear that joining forces to support this transformation was going to be essential, actually. I think it's a big part of the new circuitry, as we've talked about a lot, is collaboration.
Yes.
Because one of the beautiful things that I've noticed about the way that we are being rewired as a human species on an individual level and a collective level is that the illusion of hierarchy seems to be falling away. Exactly. And as that falls away, each one of us is embodying these very specific frequencies that are vital to the entire ecosystem of humanity. So in this new circuitry, there's a lot of activation of each person's individual, special, unique frequency that brings through something completely vital to the entire functioning of the system. And each one of us that activates this is holding then space for others to activate this. And I truly believe that is one of the biggest antidotes to helplessness, because it's not about even being a useful person at that point. It's not even about what we do, even though, of course, those things happen and they're important.
Certainly.
It's more just about what has been activated within you that then drives how you are in the world, how you interact in the world, what you share with the world. And as each person is stepping out into that bigger truth, we watch communities start to shift. We watch change on a micro level. We watch all these little things start to happen that ricochet out into the greater world, changing the world.
Yes. Absolutely. And what comes to mind about all of that? It's like, I think about, okay, what are the elements? What are the ingredients that allow this to happen, this transformation, this evolution to happen? What I get here is that we're talking about a collective empathic sensibility, a new empathy in which we are collectively in a field where we're able to sort of feel and be immersed in the connectivity, you see, which allows a kind of synergy. You know, dare I say, a kind of a hyperdimensional synergy that is much more incandescent and amplified. You know, one could say quantum, if you will, but it's like a quality of synergy that can only happen within a very special field in which there's an empathic understanding. You see, and so we're being invited. It's like we're being invited through all of the stresses and the distresses that are kind of compelling us on a collective and individual level to step into that. You see, to be able to step into that mode. And, people like yourself and, and myself, to whatever degree that we are called to, decide to be a guide, to create the most optimal circumstance and vessel for this to occur. See, so there's a very, very fertile, to create the richest, most fertile circumstance for this kind of new circuitry to happen.
Yes, I love that, because I work with people who identify as highly sensitive or empaths quite a bit. And one of the things that I've noticed is that, as you're saying, being empathic is actually the key to our next evolution. And yet the way that we've been experiencing it as humans has been in a very traumatic way, has been in a way that's very overwhelming to people. And often just pulls us into a state of immobility. And what is possible is this greater state of empathic connection that actually acts as a motivator, that actually acts as something that enlivens us as a species and as a collective. But unfortunately, it has not been experienced in that way, which I think is definitely a part of this upgrade that's going on. Is like one of the biggest shifts that wants to happen is that empathy gets experienced in a way that is not a swamp that pulls people under anymore.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you bring that point out and describe it, because it's something that I've run into with people as well. You know, my own students and clients and such, is that their first experience of their empathic nature, their sensitivity, is an experience of almost being too sensitive, too empathic. And there's a kind of a layer, a crust of trauma that kind of builds. And this is, I think, what we're talking about moving through, breaking through, transcending through. And with the understanding, as I said, that the old circuitry doesn't quite do it. That we're being invited and compelled to embrace a new circuitry, a much more transcendent, a bigger, a much more a current of a higher octave, if you will. And so this is what I think is really kind of motivating what we're in the process of constructing. We want to create the most optimal possibility, for us to sort of begin to step into, to use, and I like to use old language sometimes, because I think is very appropriate, because it captures the kind of the flavor. I think in terms of a kind of a promised land sensibility. It's like what we've all been kind of told about in terms of possibilities of how we can exist as spiritual people, as conscious people, that in which we can feel such an extraordinary connection in the world that works, and that allows us to exist in a state of communion and connectivity as a norm, as something that we experience every day, as just a regular thing. And that's kind of what I describe as the promise, the sense of promise about all of this.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately, it's been given a bit of a bad rep, just this whole human experience thing. And, what you've been describing to me is in, when you mentioned the fertilizer that we're all existing in, it's like the way that I often view it with people I work with is, many of us are just running in these very small spaces, and our energy gets trapped in these very small spaces. So when we say circuitry, that's a lot of what I think we're referring to here, is just the energy loops of the way things get very stuck in this very small space. And what I often witness with people is these bigger dimensions come in to just provide a lot more room and plug into the nervous system and the body and the energy system in this way where there's so much more space that it actually almost takes over. Like this new energy can take over and recreate the older system that has been in place.
Yes, yeah, precisely. Which is what I like about your work. Your toning and your teaching is all about ushering individuals and people collectively into a much bigger field, and like holding them there so they become acclimated to transcendence.
Yes.
You see, acclimated to their own wholeness, having enough space for their own wholeness. And so you're such a master at invoking that space for people, which is part of why I'm so excited about working with you in this, because it's like we're called to collaborate.
Yeah.
And we're called to model collaboration and empathic, working together where everybody has their unique frequency and very, very specialized, unique role in this, and that there's an understanding of the connectivity and the wholeness of what we're ushering ourselves into. And so, to me, this is the exciting part of it. This is what's so wonderful.
Oh, well, that means a lot coming from you, Michael, because obviously I consider you a master in so many things. So I really appreciate that. But, I was also going to say, just a quick note on the word transcendence, because I find that really interesting, that I think historically in spiritual land, the word transcendence has been given sort of this almost like incorrect assumption, right?
Yes.
That it's like, it refers to checking out almost,
Yes.
Like, and I see that in spiritually minded people a lot, because it's so hard to fathom an idea that we could be fully present on this planet and live multidimensionally the way that we know we're here to live. And so I often see this with people that are multidimensional mystical beings, that they really struggle with, like, the line between that transcendent checkout and being fully present to what is here.
Yeah. Well,
we're building something new where that actually isn't what's happening.
Exactly, because it's like the hidden aspects or the unaddressed aspects of the helplessness that is secretly kind of harbored in people. So sometimes it makes very, very sincere spiritual people feel like their only choice is to check out.
Yeah.
And it's actually so much the opposite of that. It is powerfully checking in. You see what I'm saying? It's powerfully checking in. That's what it's about. It's about presence. It's like, someone once said, "Be here now." You see, it is that. But it's such a it's such a challenging and, dare I say, sometimes a frightening concept of that kind of full and encompassing kind of presence.
Yeah.
Being in the world, being fully inhabiting one's life, occupying one's existence, and in a complete and whole way. So it's challenging, and so I think what we're going to be doing in this particular workshop event, and I hope we have many more. Okay, is that we're diffusing the fear aspect, making it so accessible that it's a very, very natural and delightful transit into this wholeness. You see, because my point is that this is your birthright. This is actually what we came for. And to be in this time, to be able to do this here and now. And so, channeling the new circuitry, the event Channeling the New Circuitry, is about being able to make that happen, to allow us to finally begin to step into the promise. Imagine that. Finally being able to kind of step into what that was that enticed you into consciousness in the first place.
Yes.
You see?
Yes. And it feels like there's nothing that can quite handle the PTSD of all of, what we have existed in as a human species better than multidimensional access.
Mm-hmm.
The minute that we have access to our own multidimensionality, a lot of seeming smallness, trauma, crunchiness tends to start just disappearing and being dealt with. And
Yes.
I've experienced that myself. I've watched that happen with people many, many times. Instead of spinning in the same circles that we tend to spin in,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
This bigger space that can hold us in a way that will transform us from the inside out.
Yes, yeah, precisely. And so we're just simply acknowledging that it's time.
Yes.
It's time for all of this to happen. All the weird things we're seeing occurring in the world are like these indicators. It is time at for us to step into and to be. So we're talking about April 9th,
Yes.
which is a Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
at West Coast time. It'll be 6:30 in the evening, and East Coast time 9:30
Yes.
in the evening. And we'll be putting out the announcements and all of the greater details and everything. But consider this for everybody an invitation, and an invitation into your potential, into the promise, into that which has been drawing you all along. And so it's time for that to be true and real. And so,
amen.
Yes, exactly. So this is going to be special. As you can tell, I'm very, very excited about it, and I can it's like I can already feel the transformation and the whole energy of it.
Yeah.
Of it happening. Yeah. So thank you, Erin. Thank you for participating, for being here, and it's going to be an amazing time.
Yes, so. I think so too. I already feel the frequencies coming in, wanting to bring everyone together, starting to work on everything already. And it just feels really exciting to me. It feels like the, almost like a New Year's Eve activation celebration, like the start of.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yes, it's like a new year, a new era, a new age. Some all of those cliches. There's a new age and shifting and all of that. Well, it's here now.
We're literally the new age.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, thank you again.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you on April 9th.
Me too.
Okay. Namaste. Bye-bye.
Namaste.
Bye.